Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissack.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Profit Share Mastery Podcast, where we're focused on building wealth while changing lives. I'm here today with Anna McKissack, and I'm going to be interviewing her. She is my wife, my business partner, and also, I would argue, one of the most articulate people around talking around Keller Williams and helping people see why this is such a great company to be at. And so today our topic is specifically around how to articulate and differentiate the value proposition of Keller Williams. So Anna, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So you were asking me before to tell a little bit of my story, a super highlighted version of my story, and where I've had experiences in Keller Williams and how I use that to talk to people about Keller Williams. So I started out as an individual agent, and I was 20 years old. All of my friends were still in college. I had zero database at the time. So we started lead generating and ended up being Rookie of the Year my first year and doubled my business each year after that. And then I was tapped on the shoulder to become a assistant team leader of an office of about 460 agents. So grew that office for a little while and then went and launched a market center in an area that I did not know a single soul. And took about 3 years for us to grow that. And I replaced myself when we were really quite high up in the board. That office is now the number one individual office in the board in that location. And then I'm now an operating principal and of an office of about 180 agents and area director. So I get to work with all of our team leaders and help consulting them and consulting the agents. So it has been a fun, wild ride over these past 9 years. And one thing that's really important is being able to articulate the value proposition and differentiating it from other value propositions of other companies. Because we have had a really interesting experience this week. So Press and I went to Mega Camp, and it was just so good this year. I mean, there were so many different people that had so many different ways of doing business, all with the foundation of the model as the center of it. And they added their creativity on top of that. And then immediately after that, Press and I went out to Western Kentucky to a couple of our market centers. And in 2 days, I taught 3 classes. And one of them was customer experience. So we went and had an experience, and then we taught an experience. And one of the things that if recruits are interviewing multiple brokerages or they're doing their research on what is the right place for them, and they go to multiple different companies, there's not a company in the world that you're going to show up and they're going to say, yeah, we've got poor training, or we train on the same things over and over again, or we don't teach you how to master your business. None of them are going to say, yeah, our broker doesn't really answer their phone, or, they're not going to say that kind of stuff. However, we know that to be true in some places. And there are some things that there are companies that offer some great technology. However, they're not proprietary technology. So we have to be able to differentiate ourselves in articulating that. So putting it into words so that people understand the difference between the two. I mean, do you see this with recruits?
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that I hear you say it all the time, you hate the buzzwords in KW. Like, oh, we have great training, or oh, we have great value. One of the things you work on a lot with our top agents, our leaders, is around just being articulate. You got to be able to communicate what that value is. So with that being said, what would your advice be, Anna, to agents or leaders out there who want to get better about how they communicate what we have at KW? Because it is hard. We're a very experiential company. And so will you take a few minutes and just talk about what are the best lessons you've learned for articulating the value and being able to demonstrate that at a high level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anytime you hear a buzzword or a word that doesn't really tell you exactly what it is, let's take the word model or system, for example. You hear people say all the time, we're a models and systems company. Okay, what exactly does that mean? How is that different from everybody else? So if you're talking to somebody and you say, yeah, at Keller Williams, we are taught models. And all a model means is something that's repeatable, growable, and profitable. So define what that looks like, and you can say the buzzword, but define what it means. And then showing people pieces. So whenever you're talking about models, an example of this would be the career visioning model. So the cost of a bad hire on average is about $50,000 for 90 days of the wrong person. So if that's true, you want a company that's going to support you in being able to help go before you and show you what is the model for doing something and how can it save you the time, the money, and the hassle of hiring the wrong person. And you would ask somebody, have you ever heard of something called career visioning or the Keller personality assessment? And they'd most likely say no, or I've taken it. And you could say, well, this is a model that Keller Williams gives that shows a way for people to know who they're getting into business with prior to experiencing them. And talk about the experience that it's given you. Now, the hard part is if you've been to Bold or if you've been to Mega Camp or Family Reunion, those are big experiences. It's really hard to put into words exactly what you experience and what you feel when you're there. So I would suggest for you to have, it's almost like a script that you use with listing appointments or with buyer appointments. What are the important talking points that you can be prepared to articulate it? Because it's not going to happen naturally to try to articulate an experience. You have to be really purposeful about it and to know, kind of have in the back of your head, what are those talking points that you can be prepared with.
That's great. That's great. So what do you feel like are some of the key areas of differentiation of Keller Williams? Like, what are the places, if you're talking with an agent, how do you know, like, what you should talk about with them as it pertains to the company and what it offers?
Well, that completely depends on what their goals are. So this depends if you're talking to a new agent or an experienced agent. A model that I was taught when I first stepped into leadership was to go through a list of 4 questions and to use them as a guide. So the very first question is, what's going well? You start with the positives. The next question is, what's your biggest struggle? The third question is, who is helping you with that? And the fourth question is, what's next for you? So oftentimes by going through what's going well, what's your biggest struggle, who's helping you, and what's next, you're going to find what's their struggling point. Now, on the struggle side, they're going to give you their first answer to that, but that's not the real motivational answer. That's where you keep going deeper, where the best script you can possibly ask for anyone in the world, so use this in your real estate business also, is 3 words. Tell me more. It's so simple. Say it over and over again. So tell me more about that. Tell me more about how this shows up. And you just rephrase it in different ways to get deeper and deeper until you get to the actual root of the problem. So you find out by asking those questions, how do you differentiate and what's important to them? So we just, when we were at one of the market center visits, I sat down with a couple of recruits, there's 4 of them, and went around and I asked them some of the questions about, okay, what did you enjoy about Mega Camp? What's going well? What's some of the struggles that you currently have? Who's the person that's helping you with that? And what do you want over the next 5 years, such that when you look up, then you're going to say, this is the business I always dreamed of. And then you can go back and you can talk about, okay, what is the most important things for you when you're choosing, like, differentiating factors when you're choosing your real estate company. So let's say they talk about opportunity or freedom. Then you can talk about expansion is a opportunity that almost nobody else is doing. And if they're doing it, they're using the model off of us. One thing that's really interesting is there's a lot of overlapping, very similar real estate companies. However, I talk with a lot of people, where's the source of the information? And we always find this interesting that I hear all the time from agents, because I've been in leadership for multiple years. I've done about 2,500 recruiting appointments in my career. And multiple times over and over again, I hear, yeah, when I first got started in real estate, my manager handed me the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And I just think, well, that's fascinating. So your company is using our models. Where do you want to be and who's the source of the information? Don't you want to be closest to the source, to a group of other people who are also using that information, since you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with? So most of the time I'm talking about the source of the information. We are the source of the KPA and the career visioning process. We are the source of technology being proprietary and built around the agents. We are the source of demonstrating that we get to vote on things as agents and have our opinion of how we would like the company run. We are the source of models and systems and real estate. We're the source of expansion. There's a lot of different things that people build off of what we do. And so that typically speaks for itself. And being able to understand like what classes you're asking people to go to. I mean, we have more classes that vary so widely, from shift classes to customer experience classes to hiring classes. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, you teach, speaking of the class you just taught, which was on experiences, will you talk about how you leverage Keller Williams training and events as an experience to get people to move the needle? Like, why is that so important versus just, can't you just tell them about it? Like, why do you recommend that they come? Why do you think that that's important? Talk a little about leveraging like our training and our events as a huge way to be able to demonstrate our value proposition and then also move the needle on them joining.
Yeah, I'm certain that you guys have talked about this before, that people learn best in 3 different ways. It's through stories, questions, and experiences. So getting them to the class is the experience that they get to feel for themselves. And frankly, once you get them there, that's the easy part. The hard part is to get them there, which means you have to practice your conversations and know the talking points of why is it that they should go to the class. So frequently we see people say, hey, you need to come to this class. Okay, why? What are they going to learn from it? Why specifically them? Why are you asking them? So when I call to invite people to classes, I'll typically say, hey, press, I'm calling you because we have a class coming up about customer experience. And you've shared with me before that, honestly, you're spending a lot of money on Zillow right now, and you really want to get back to your database of repeat and referrals. And this class is going to talk a lot about how you create raving fans so they're coming to you rather than you having to chase them. And I want you to make more profit because money is good for the good that it can do. Can you be my guest at this? I'd love to get you a ticket, or I'd love if you would come with me and I'll save you a seat next to me. And be specific around why them, what are they going to get out of it, how is it going to make them smarter, and how is it going to make their life easier? Those are the questions that add value to people that I'll take a moment and look at our capper wall or my list of people that is on my agent list and say, have I made their life easier or have I made them smarter? And I am not the value proposition here. Keller Williams is a value proposition here. I'm just the messenger. So it's our responsibility to know the models to be able to share with them.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think the other piece that people overlook is when I watch the people who do the best at attracting great talent to our company, one of the things you notice is they use their life and their growth as a huge pull for those people. You know, like when you look at certain people's lives and you see that their life has been changed at this company, it causes other people want to have that same life change. So I think one of the easy things that you can do if you want to get better about being able to articulate Keller Williams is go grow your life bigger. Go grow your business. Go take advantage of the things that this company has to offer personally, because it will help you in how you articulate what this company has to offer, because it's different when you're saying, oh yeah, our company has great training versus let me tell you about how Keller Williams training has changed my life. And when you can articulate that from a place of honest and genuine stories, people learn best from stories anyway. So I think it just helps in solidifying the value prop.
I would totally agree with that. That's more of a long-term play. However, I want to talk about what can they do today, because I have heard more people talk for some reason in the past week about having imposter syndrome of what validity do I have to talk to these producing agents. And there are things that you can do today. Number one, everybody has validity in something. You have something in your history. You have something that you have God-given gifts that you're naturally good at, that you just get that somebody else may not get. And you can share that knowledge and you can share that resource with people. One thing that you could do that can help you in connecting with people now is I heard Caroline Huo at Mega Camp this year. She was on stage and she said she learned from Dick Dillingham to be cool. It's KOL, a keen observer of life. And realtors don't always have somebody paying attention to them and really watching their business. And sometimes you just learn this over a margarita and some chips. But if you pay attention to it and you are in relationship with these people, or you have your own need that you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I need this, what you got, then you will observe things that they need. And so you don't have to be doing more production than somebody to ask them to join you at an event or join you at a class. It's something that you can do today that you guys are in it together, and it just deepens your relationship and having life experience with these people.
Yeah, that's great. I think my favorite thing of what you just said was margarita and chips, because now I'm getting kind of hungry and thirsty, and that sounds really nice. So thank you for that. But the rest of it was also really, really good as well. Anna, last thing in closing around articulating and delivering on the KW value proposition in communication. What would you leave our audience with?
I would say just learn to not be vague. This is kind of like when you show up on listing appointments and you say, I'm going to sell your house for the most amount of money in the least amount of time for the least amount of hassle. That's super vague. I mean, everybody is walking in and saying the same thing. Nobody's walking in and saying, oh, I'm going to sell your house for less than what it could be sold for, and I'm going to give you a bunch of hassle. So you have to stand out and be different. And you do that through specifics of showing people how you did it or what resources they have, or sharing things with people where you could say, hey, I'm really glad that you asked about that. My team leader actually has a resource around this. I'd love to send it over to you so you could see what we're being taught. And maybe we can mastermind around it, because, you know, there's the real life implementation pieces of this where life shows up and it may not look like a piece of paper, but this is where the model is the foundation and you add the creativity on top. So the more specific you can get to define things, then you stop sounding like everybody else. Because when everybody else says we have the greatest training in the world, then and they can't really define what that training is, you start to see maybe it's the same training over and over again, or maybe it's training for lower level agents, or maybe it's only training on how to service your business and not how to build a business or have a future business. So define. The more you can define, the more different you sound.
So good. All right, Anna, thank you. Everyone, go out there. Let's go communicate our value proposition that we have at KW. And let's remember that this company changes lives. And who are we to decide that enough lives have been changed? Let's go change some more. Talk to you soon.